it going, man?
It's cold out there, bro. 6 degrees.
Why didn't you wear a scarf today?
Don't have any scarves, dude. I want to wear one, but
Okay. Well, welcome to Two United Fans. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Nach. And today we've got a great episode coming up for you. We've got Neal Malone, who's the Director of Public Relations of the North American Soccer League, the NASL. So we're going to get to that right away. Just want to remind you, though, before we go, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. You know, all this great stuff that the kids these days are using. Our handles are usually TWO United Fans, so at Two United Fans on Twitter, like that. So go ahead and find us. But we're going to take a quick break right now and return to you with Neal Malone.
Welcome back, everybody, to Two United Fans. Right now we're going to talk a little bit with Neal Malone, who is the Director of Public Relations for the NASL. And we want to thank him very much for taking the time to be here. We're going to go through a few topics about the league and just kind of get a little peek behind the scenes of what it's like working for the NASL.
Yeah. Hey, Neal.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Very good.
Good.
You in New York?
I'm in New York. You're catching me in my Brooklyn apartment at the moment. The NASL offices are in Midtown, so in Manhattan. But Brooklyn's kind of the place to be now. So that's where I chose to live. I've been up here for about 4 or 5 months now, so I like it.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Cool.
So, jumping straight into some of the topics that we were going to discuss today, I think the first on our list of things to discuss was the Atlanta expansion that the NASL just announced. And I'd like to just hear a little bit of an overview, I guess, and then we'll jump into maybe some questions that we have for you.
Yeah, so the Atlanta Silverbacks are going to play in 2015. And, you know, I think some people, especially some of their fans, might have noticed a little bit of maybe uncertainty there. And the fact of the matter is, here in the NASL, you know, we make sure that all of our franchises have, you know, the right ownership groups to move forward. In this case, the Silverbacks are without one at the moment. However, the league is going to operate the team in 2015. While they aggressively seek a long-term, committed local owner that's going to, you know, keep the team in a market that the league really believes in. I know firsthand. I was a part of the Silverbacks organization for a while, and you know, it's really an exceptional fan base when you look at you know, some of the crowds that they've had, and not necessarily corresponding with much success on the field, with the exception of 2013 when they hosted the NASL Soccer Bowl at the time. So, you know, it's a market the league believes in. It's a market that they think, you know, the league thinks can be in, you know, a long-term success. And so, you know, the league has elected to operate the team until they find, you know, a group that wants to, you know, commit to the organization long-term.
Okay. And can you take me a little bit through the process of going from the current owners through to having a league-owned team? You know, some of the things that you all were mulling over, some of the questions that you all had before making this decision?
I think that kind of hits home a little bit with us here at Minnesota United, too, being the Stars. Kind of we're in a situation that some of us experienced a while back, too. So that'd be interesting to hear.
Right. Well, I mean, you guys, you know, knowing the history of the Minnesota organization, you can see that you know, all it takes is you know, somebody to come along and really believe in the market and the team, and you know, put resources into it. And so, you know, we were very close. I say we. I wasn't part of the league at that time. I was with Atlanta, but the league was very close to you know, possibly losing Minnesota as a market. And you know, it's very awesome that didn't happen, because, I mean, you guys were there. You saw the year that Minnesota United FC had this year. It was incredible on the field, off the field. Their front office is growing. I was up there for the semifinal match, and I was able to see, you know, be around the team, be around the coaches, be around the staff, the fans, it's great. And so I think, anytime a league believes in a market like they do a Minneapolis, St. Paul, or an Atlanta, they want to give that market the chance to be successful and not necessarily give up on that idea just with a few bumps in the road. So I think that is it's a very similar comparison, as you guys said.
So, I mean, how long do you anticipate it's going to be before we see another organization coming through, like maybe the Stars moved into United, or the league finds an owner for the Silverbacks?
Well, I don't think that's known. I think that again, the league plans to aggressively seek partners that want to not just make a short-term commitment to the team, but a long-term commitment. And so I think there's no timetable on that. You want to find the right partners, and that's one of the things that the NASL does really well that I've seen since I've come on board is when you look at all the owners in the league, they are super committed and super into what they're doing. They don't just sort of sit back and relax, and so you want to get a partner in Atlanta that is consistent with the feeling among the other owners and the passion and the work ethic and so on and so forth. And so I don't think you want to put a timetable on that, because you want to give it the due process to find that right person or people, I guess.
Okay. That makes sense. I think we did have a little bit of a question about the supporters group as well that's still there in Atlanta, and about them. I think they still seem to be in full support of NASL, and kind of if the league has had any interaction with them.
Are you referring to the Atlanta Ultras or Terminus Legion?
Terminus Legion mainly.
Yeah, so Terminus Legion was a supporters group that was born when it coincided with MLS Atlanta being announced. They were congregating before that as well, but I think that whole announcement was where they originated from. That said, when I was the director of PR and marketing for the Silverbacks, they showed as much commitment, if not more, and passion as any fans I had seen since I was around the club. And if you talk to them, their motto is supporting Atlanta soccer. They've even had some events at Silverbacks women's games. They've had events at some of the local universities that have soccer teams. So I think by doing that, they're showing that it's not just the Silverbacks, or it's not just MLS Atlanta. It's it is Atlanta soccer, and so they were extremely active and creating a fun tailgate atmosphere, being extremely welcoming, and filling up their section for games. And so they've been very supportive of the Silverbacks, and whatever choice they decide to make, I suppose, when there is another team in town, that remains to be seen. But I do know that a lot of those fans in Terminus Legion were at the forefront of being ultra supportive of the Silverbacks and really making sure that they returned to the field in 2015.
I think another place that might have some interesting news coming out of it is Oklahoma City. I know there's some news about a stadium. Is that something you can talk about?
Well, the entity OKCFC that was revealed as being a possible NASL franchise, quite some time ago. They recently executed a lease on a stadium in Oklahoma City, and so the franchise had been going through an ownership reorganization, and so that's what's been sort of I guess holding them back from playing when they were originally supposed to in 2015. But anytime you're reorganizing a franchise and firming up your ownership group, obviously you're trying to accomplish a number of big things. Your stadium being one of those items, and so it appears that that group has been able to make some progress on the facility front, and that's really everything as far as an update that we know. But it seems to be I guess a step in the right direction.
So where are they going to play?
It's Miller Stadium is the name, and if I'm not mistaken, it's like a high school football type setup, but a large stadium, new, and I guess that would be the potential place if they were able to get their team going.
Okay, cool. And I guess one of the things is, in some of the discussions that we read both online and speaking with some of our colleagues here in the Minnesota United fan base, is one of the questions about what the Oklahoma City franchise is going to achieve, where they're going to be competitively within the soccer landscape here. And I'm just curious, as far as the league is concerned, what would you perceive as being a success? Where are what kinds of things would you be looking for once that team starts playing to say this has been a successful expansion, that we are, that's working really well?
I think for any new franchise, I'm sure there are varying levels of success, but the last several expansion teams that have come into our league, Indy 11, Ottawa Fury, and soon to be Jacksonville Armada, have all been doing tremendously well. And so you'd like to think that the amount of work and time and effort they put into their organization during the lead up to it, building the buzz and getting things all set before you're even kicking a ball, is something that is super helpful. Everybody can see the success that Indy 11 had as a franchise this past year. Ottawa set the attendance record with their home game against the Cosmos, and Jacksonville is just absolutely killing it in season tickets and sponsorship, going into the season. So I think that they've been a model for success as an expansion team, but we realize that that's not. You'll have certain degrees of success in different markets. I think Oklahoma City presents an interesting concept because there's already a USL Pro team there, but I think in some cases having a team in town to sort of compete with could sort of drive fuel the fire, if you will, a little bit. But to answer your question, I think success is measured differently by all the different ownership groups. As a league, we hope to see full stands and competitive soccer and support in the community. The teams are part of their community, and they're forming partnerships with local businesses and things like that. And so I think those would be some of the pillars of success, but it sort of differs from team to team.
And just as a really quick question, I honestly just have had a little bit of a break with my reading with Oklahoma City. Is there an anticipated date when that team starts to play?
That hasn't been determined yet. Again, I mean, the thing about, and it's probably similar with all professional leagues, but the thing that is admirable about the North American Soccer League is everything is very calculated, and everything, we're making sure that we're taking the right steps and at the right time. And so I think once with any expansion market, and there are several that are out there at the moment, I think you just want to make sure that they're ready. And so I don't think any timetable's been put on it because you don't want to force anything.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I wasn't here I wasn't as active in the Minnesota soccer scene when the Stars were, being threatened with folding, but it's a traumatic thing for, folks who are invested in a team to go through. So it makes sense what you're saying, that you want to make sure that a franchise that's coming in, that you've got a strong ownership group behind it, and they've got, I don't know what, I'm not from here, so I don't know. Is it like getting your ducks in a row or your eggs in a duck? What's the...
Yeah, that'd be one way to say it. Talk,
Anyway, that being the other point. All right, we don't need to talk about the English language here. Why don't we take a quick break, and we'll be back in another second and ask you some more questions. Hey everybody, welcome back to Two United Fans. We're here with Neal Malone, Director of Public Relations for the North American Soccer League, and we're back with our second segment.
Yeah, we actually want to take a second after we jumped right in and grilled him with questions right away for Neal to tell us a little bit about himself and kind of his background and what brought him to his current position. So if you want to go ahead, Neal.
Sure. Well, I'm an Indiana University grad. Go Hoosiers. I don't know if either of you are Big Ten guys, but...
I'm a Hawkeye, so...
Okay, all right. Look, that was a tough loss against Nebraska the other day. Anyways, I went to Indiana University, with sports broadcasting on my mind, and so that's what I did when I was there. I majored in that, called IU basketball and football for the student radio station there, and soccer actually, for the student radio station, which was a total blast, and that sort of, validated the fact that that's what I was going after. And so, after college, I latched on with WGN Radio in Chicago, where I'm from, and it was the home of the Chicago Cubs and Blackhawks, two of the teams I grew up rooting for. So it was, a natural fit. So I was actually a sports producer for the radio station there, working primarily on Blackhawks broadcasts and Cubs broadcasts. And Northwestern as well, and so that was more sort of behind the glass, so to speak. And I would do high school football and basketball on the side, play by play. But soccer's always been my sport, and so I got an opportunity with the Atlanta Silverbacks in 2011 when the NASL was launching, and I've been in the league in some form or fashion since then. I was with the Silverbacks for almost 4 years, about 3.5, I guess, and was there for the first season where they went 4-20-4. That's 20 losses, and then I was there for the hosting the championship game in 2013 against the Cosmos, and in front of the biggest crowd by far I've ever seen at Silverbacks Park. So it's great. So I've been hooked on the league. The league is growing. There's so much passion with the fans, and a lot of people, they don't realize the level of play. It's really not far off from some of the other top leagues you'll see, and so I'm just really glad and blessed to be a part of the NASL front office now, and trying to make the league as successful as we can.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest. I think that's a little bit of a source of frustration as a fan of a team, that it's just one of those things where people don't seem to realize some of the things that we get to experience, some of the great things that we have here in Minnesota as fans of Minnesota United. And that's why we started this podcast, is really just to capture some of that, to be able to document it and say, we did this, and this is how much fun we had. And it's kind of a fun thing to do. I'm enjoying it. I don't know if you're enjoying it.
Cool what you guys are doing. It's cool that you're trying to you're doing almost what the teams, aim to do, and many of the teams do. That's provide sort of access and, dig a little bit deeper. And so, the episode you guys did explaining the postseason format, I thought was really good. And, there are tons of passionate fans just like you guys in every market around the league, and so that's the type of passion and excitement we're trying to, replicate in new markets and grow in the current markets.
Well, and just to branch off of something that you mentioned a second ago, which was the championship, we did see a change in format this year with the championship. The semifinal was introduced, and we had a few different things happen. Just wanted to hear your feedback from the league's perspective of how that went.
Well, as far as what the format did to create excitement, I think it was a total success. From a league standpoint, when you look at 2013, the argument I suppose could be made that Atlanta, after winning the spring title, they didn't really have anything to play for. They were just sort of waiting around to host the championship. They knew that they would be in the title game and they would have one shot, no matter what, at winning a championship, regardless of how the fall season went. And so. And then you had a team like the Carolina Railhawks who were consistent throughout the year and, ended up, I believe, getting more points than the Silverbacks, but not having a place in the postseason. So I think what maybe raised some eyebrows with that was solved this year by rewarding the two champions, but also rewarding the consistency. And so I think there were several great teams this year, but I think the argument could be made that the four teams that ended up in the championship were not only maybe the four that deserved them overall, but the four that finished the strongest and really entered the championship with momentum and sort of a reason to be there. And so the semifinals were both extremely close, agonizingly close. In Minnesota and New York's case, but I think the format did exactly what we were hoping. Competition down to the final, wire, and that was represented with Adrian Can's goal in San Antonio for the fall season title. I mean, in second half stoppage time. I mean, you really just can't get more exciting than that. And so, I think it was a success.
Just and kind of going off of that, one of the things that you mentioned as a criticism of the 2013 season was the kind of slump that maybe the Silverbacks experienced. And I think another question that was raised that year, and I think continued through 2014 as well with the World Cup break, was with the split season, which is, I don't think there's a lot of information out there on why it is that we have a split season format. I think we as fans have made a lot of guesses, and we've come up with some things, and we have some thoughts, but I just wanted to ask you that question. Why do we have a split season format, and what do you think it brings to our league?
Well, the league's built on competition. If you talk with our commissioner, Bill Peterson, he'll tell you that the number one objective in terms of on the field is competition, and then we believe that the business will come with that. If you put a competitive product out there, a product where fans week in and week out will be sort of on the edge of their seats, everything will come with that. And so I think the competition piece has been there. With the split season, before, like you said, you had a team like Atlanta who, again, maybe didn't need to play all that well in the fall. But now it's different. You win a title, say you win the spring. Well, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get the number one seed just for winning the spring. You've got to go out there and get the better overall record than the fall champion as well. So you've got one team to beat there. If you didn't win the spring or the fall, and you're in the rest of the field, you've got the rest of the field to compete against. If you had a poor spring season, maybe you're super low in the combined table, but you have a shot at totally regrouping, catching lightning in a bottle and winning the fall. And so I think there are multiple ways you can earn a trip to the postseason in our league. And I think because of that, there's less meaningless games and way more meaningful games. And I think that is what the spring-fall split-season format is sort of born in. And then you have the break, right? You have the opportunity for teams to go out and make changes if need be. You have the opportunity for to bring in an international friendly like United did this year with Swansea, which was just fantastic, and they were able to win the game. So I think all those reasons, probably speak to why we're playing that. And as a league, we also, we have a more of a global view of things. We try to sort of replicate some of the stuff that's successful with some of the world's soccer leagues. And so you'll see that sort of split season idea in some of Central America and things like that. And so I'm not saying that's necessarily the number one reason, but I think competition is really where it's at. And I think we're trying to prevent those late season games where there's just nothing to play for,
Yeah. Okay. I see that. And I just want to bring up, while we're on the subject of things that people have said and giving you a chance to kind of add your view, which is one of the things, again, from 2013 was the Cosmos. And they came in halfway through. They made it to the championship and, won the title. And that, I think, did leave a little bit of a taste in some people's mouths afterwards. And I just, again, wanted to bring that up with you and see if you had any responses to that, or, how going forward that might be different.
Yeah, I think it was a unique circumstance, and I think these ownership groups put a tremendous amount of assets and resources into these teams, and if they're not ready to go at a time where they think their product can be where it needs to be, then I think you'd be almost be doing a disservice if you allowed them to start. And so I know it was unorthodox, but let's be serious. I mean, the Cosmos still had to come out and get the job done. They, unlike the other teams, hadn't been playing actual games together for weeks. It's not always easy. I think sometimes it's almost harder. I think to jump right in against a bunch of teams that have been playing together for several weeks and jump in and sort of find that identity and grow up really fast, so to speak. So I think that's what was amazing from what they were able to do. But even so, it was still a close race, and going 1 for 1 on titles, that was very difficult to do. And so I think that's a little bit to their defense. Now, move ahead to where we are now, and if that were to be the case at some point in the future, you have even less of a chance to make the postseason. You've got one shot. You've got the fall season championship, or the fall season championship, because you're not gonna have enough points in the combined standings to qualify that way. So it certainly was a little bit of a disadvantage on the field, but look, the Cosmos earned it.
All right, makes sense. Yeah, I think that was a good question to ask, because I think that is a really good answer going forward of how that has been addressed, and I like that answer.
Yeah. Just one other quick thing before we finish, because I think we're probably hitting our time here, which is, the NASL is one of many leagues here in the United States, and I wanted to get your perspective. When I work this is not my full-time job, sadly. I have another job, and I have a organization that I work for, and I think all organizations try to distinguish themselves within the world that they're in. And I just wanted to get your view on how the league considers itself distinct, some of the things that distinguish it, and what it provides to the soccer landscape here in the United States.
Well, we're a young league. We just finished our 4th season. A lot of people, forget that, and so, we're just in that early phase, and so I think, there's still a lot to be done, and a lot of room for growth. But I think the NASL provides something in most of its markets to the fans that they may not be able to get elsewhere. And I think we spoke to it a little bit earlier. The access that the community has to the players and the coaches, whether it be at a game, coming onto the field afterwards, or getting autographs, or meeting them at player appearances. I mean, these players and coaches are, they're getting out there and interacting with the community much closer than I think you would typically see. And so it's an opportunity to go see a high quality, high level of soccer, but also get to identify with those people that you see play as well. And they're not giant stadiums. You can get close to the field. It's generally relatively affordable. And so I think there's sort of that level of excitement and passion, as a fan, but you're able to do it in a much more personal way. So I think there's that piece. The other piece is the league has an interesting system. I mean, it's a free market system. There's no salary cap. Owners and presidents of teams, they can go out and get whatever players they'd like, as long as they stay within the international boundaries, of 7 international players. And so, there's no leagues owning the rights to players. It's all teams. And if they, have an opportunity to move a player on, that the transfer fee that the team gets, that goes to the team. And so, it's an interesting opportunity for owners to be able to come in, put a certain amount of resources in, and get that in return, maybe easier than they would in some other sports or other leagues. So I also think there's an openness to challenging what soccer in the U.S. can be, and Commissioner Peterson has said it before. I don't want to open up this can of worms, but there is an openness to promotion relegation. There is an openness to concepts that some of the other teams around the world do. And so, if we can get to that 18 teams by 2018, the goal that we've set, it's been stated by Commissioner Peterson publicly that maybe there is a second league that we create, and we do promotion relegation ourselves. And so I think there's sort of that uniqueness and that openness as a league that fans should be excited about.
Yeah, and I've been saving up, and this may be our last question here, but for fans to get excited about, I think that's the interesting question that I've been wanting to ask this whole interview. I know I've been trying to find the best way to word this question, because I know there's things you can and can't talk about that might be going on, but there's definitely a lot of internet rumors out there right now about what may be coming for the league. There's stuff that I know is probably going on behind the scenes, but as someone who's really invested in the league, I guess it's difficult sometimes to go talk to other fans and not knowing exactly where the league's headed. So what are you willing to say at this point that could give ammo to some people who are NASL supporters to say that, there's a lot of upside for this league. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that are really big things to be excited about coming for this league.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I'll just say this: look at the last 3 expansion sides that came into this league: Indy, Ottawa, and Jacksonville, and the success and excitement and passion that you see with those teams and fan bases, and just know that is. That and more is what the league is striving for with each and every new team it adds. And so through that scope, the league is obviously looking at a number of cities across U.S., Canada, and so I think, the fans should know that the league is being tremendously selective and careful and smart about where they go. And does the league need to go out west? Absolutely, and that's a big goal. Does the league need to go into some other markets that are ripe for a team but don't have one yet? Sure, and so there's a lot of interest in the league. There's a lot of positive stuff going on, and I think the fans, I can identify with the fact that you're sort of just waiting, for that next announcement to happen. But I think the important part is, the focus on just trying to get it right, and so I think once the league feels right about these markets, the announcements will follow, and then the teams will take the field and hopefully have just as much success, if not more, as the teams that currently play in the league.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's about all we have time for today. We've probably already, like we always do, gone over a bit. But Neal, thank you so much for joining us. Do appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.
I know how busy it sometimes gets in the evening, so I do appreciate that you took the time to speak with us. Yeah, so thank you again, everybody, for watching. We're going to take another quick break and come back after this.
Thanks, everybody, for watching another episode of Two United Fans. Once again, if you want to keep all these beautiful faces and amazing content coming, aren't I good at this?
No, we're really good at this. Man, we're good at this.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of our handles at Two United Fans. Just Google it. I believe in you. You'll find us. See you next time.
Oh, and if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe, unlike, unfollow on Twitter, whatever you want to do. Either way,